wamekuwa na
anasema wanausanga
ilikuwa 150.
Kama sijui kuendesha gari, driving natoa wapi?
Unajua
sijui kuendesha gari my friend. Kitu ambaye najua kuendesha saiti ni basikili.
Ukiona huyo nywele hapo nao, lakini akili.
Na wewe sasa hauna nywele, kwa hivyo hauna akili.
Wewe mwenyewe hauna nywele.
Kwa hivyo hana akili.
Hauna akili hata wewe.
Change is here.
And this shift is about many things. The country's shifting.
This is Kenya's vision, the journey to development.
KBC is going to be the home to realize, to discuss, to share ideas about this shift and to know where our country is going.
We dissect the rumors. We clarify the perceptions. A clear picture of the status quo. Change is indeed here.
Everything is shifting.
The shift.
Welcome to Prime Edition. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now, tonight, police denounces and says that they have no part in the recent kidnapping seen in the country and also in business. Safaricom announces its first decline in profit in 4 years. And in sports, we do have a story on you on the president visiting the Talanta Stadium and much more for you. But first, let's have the highlights.
Ours is to arrest in broad daylight. Police don't kidnap anyone.
We are not involved in abductions or kidnappings, says Police Inspector General Douglas Kanja. Against all odds, the story of a KCSE candidate sitting her exam with an oxygen cylinder by her side. Will he be the one? Raila Odinga drums up support for the AU Commission chairmanship as he accompanies President Ruto to Ethiopia.
The infrastructure that had sustained banditry for over 4 decades has been suppressed. Scores of schools in Baringo, Samburu, Elgeyo Marakwet, Turkana, West Pokot, and Laikipia counties have been reopened.
And Deputy President Kindiki enumerates his successes while he served at the Ministry of Interior. Our sign language interpreter is Brian Muraru. And remember, would love to hear from you. You can send us your messages on our social media pages and let us know some of the stories you would like us to cover for you. That is KBC Channel 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and also Instagram. Now, President William Ruto has called for the need to enhance peace and security infrastructure in Africa in order to create a conducive environment for other sectors. The president was speaking during a high-level meeting of the World Without Hunger Conference in Addis Ababa, where former Prime Minister Raila Odinga drummed up support for the Africa Union Commission chairmanship within that, where he called for unity.
Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. During the World Without Hunger Conference, President William Ruto emphasized the need to ensure peace and security in Africa.
Our peace and security infrastructure requires a rethink. We cannot continue the way we are continuing. I think the days of, the 20,000 AU peacekeeping force are slowly fading away, and we need, as Africa, to begin to take charge of our peace support mechanisms in our continent. There is certainly a very big case for us to make in reorganizing the AU Peace and Security Council, including the Peace Fund.
Citing his visit to Juba in strife-torn South Sudan, Ruto lauded progress in resumption of peace talks between the warring factions.
Yesterday, I was in Juba to encourage our brothers in that country when they gave me an assignment to get the opposition to work with the government. I was very happy that we had a breakthrough yesterday. We are concluding the mediation there. Next week, we have the civilian groups meeting in Nairobi from our neighbors in Sudan to see what they can do about their country. Last week, we were in Bujumbura at a COMESA meeting to discuss how, whether as we do trade, how do we manage the issues in the Great Lakes region.
Also in attendance was former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who, while rallying support for his bid as Africa Union Commission chairperson, called for the implementation of resolutions on peace and security.
And all the times there are two things that are all the times at play: sovereignty and unity. In my view, those two things should not be competing. They are complementary.
He further emphasized the importance of unity in the continent.
In the next 20 more years, 1/3 of the population is going to be living on this continent. And Africa is the richest continent on the planet Earth in terms of resources. The paradox is the richest is also the poorest in terms of living conditions of its people.
Sarafina Robi for Prime Edition.
The Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, has denied involvement of police in cases of kidnapping and abductions in the country. Appearing before the National Assembly Administration and Security Committee, Kanja said police only arrest, instead urging the public to provide the information on criminals perpetrating the abductions. He said a total of 57 cases of kidnappings and abductions have been reported since June 2024.
In the wake of increased cases of kidnappings and abductions, the National Assembly's Administration and Security Committee invited the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, to explain measures put in place to protect Kenyans amid suspicion that police were involved.
I want to hasten and assure that the police have got the capacity, have got the ability to investigate, and we have actually demonstrated. And even those cases that are still pending, they are pending active investigations. every person who commits a crime will have his own time and day before a court of law.
IG Kanja, however, absolved his officers from blame, saying police arrest suspects but never abduct. According to the police, 57 cases of abductions have been reported in the last 5 months. 29 victims of abductions are still missing. 22 of them were found alive, while 6 were found dead.
We would wish to urge our people, if anyone suspects that the place that you are in is not okay, please make a report as soon as possible, so that once again the police can be able to carry out their duties as required by the law. But this is something that we must also speak as a society.
MPs questioned how victims who resurfaced from the kidnappings never reported to the police, and why it was hard for the police to use new technology to trace the victims.
Every society, there are criminals who are going to carry out those activities. But I think the concern of Kenyans, and even this committee and parliament, is we are almost having a mix of criminals carrying out nefarious activities, but also something linked to security forces that involves kidnappings.
From where I sit, I'll be comfortable saying it's only the police officers and the law enforcement of this country that can have that audacity to do such things to the citizens of these people. Coming back to these abductions and people that have disappeared, these 29 people have a right to live. They have a right of freedom. We need these people to be brought. It's the government that have these people, not anyone else.
Ours is to arrest in broad daylight. Police don't kidnap anyone. No, we arrest and take to the court.
IG Kanja assured Kenyans that the government has enhanced police visibility and intelligence gatherings across the country. He urged the National Assembly to enact the Criminal Investigations Bill 2024 to enhance the use of modern technology in police investigations. Gishoki Washira, Prime Edition.
Deputy President Kindiki now says the mystery surrounding the abductions and killings, especially during the Gen Z anti-tax protests and the recent femicide cases, are under investigations and will be addressed by the next Interior Cabinet Secretary. The Deputy President also illuminated his successes as Interior CS, such as restoring peace in the North Rift and clearing the passports backlog.
Case of Harambee House Annex. Professor Kindiki gave his maiden press briefing as the Deputy President.
Any performance inadequacies during my tenure are mine, because I believe the ministry staff and officers did their best.
In his exit speech, Kindiki listed the successes he achieved in the interior docket, among them silencing of guns in banditry-prone counties of the North Rift.
19 months after President Ruto ordered the most consequential security operation against banditry ever to take place in northern Kenya, scores of schools in Baringo, Samburu, Elgeyo Marakwet, Turkana, West Pokot, and Laikipia counties have been reopened.
He also boasted of cracking down on terrorism in northeastern region and the coast, especially in Boni Forest and its Mpeketoni surroundings in Lamu County.
For protracted periods, I have traveled by air, land, and sea to oversee counter-terrorism operations in Ziwalata, Poromoko, Kiunga, Mpeketoni, Lango la Simba, and other parts of Lamu.
Kindiki also recalled the reforms his office undertook to crush the passports cartels at the Immigration Office to fasten the processing of the passports.
The passport production and delivery waiting period has been reduced from more than 12 months in 2022 to 7 days at present.
He, however, was at pains to explain the mysterious abductions and killings of especially Gen Z anti-tax protesters and the spike in femicide.
I pray that my successor will build on the gains we made and will succeed to roll back the emerging reports of mysterious disappearances, abductions, and femicide.
He instead said the next Interior Cabinet Secretary will have to resolve the cases as the investigations are still ongoing. Giverson Minor, Prime Edition.
As Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education (KCSE) exams continue across Kenya, many candidates are diligently tackling their papers in familiar settings. However, Terry Charity, a student of King David Junior and Secondary School in Juja, faces a unique challenge. Battling a medical condition, Terry requires an oxygen cylinder by her side as she strives to excel in her exams.
While thousands of Kenya's Certificate of Secondary Education examination candidates continue with their exams with relative ease, Terry Charity, a student at King David Junior and Secondary School in Juja, Kiambu County, faces an extraordinary challenge. Charity is taking her exams with an oxygen cylinder by her side. This has been her reality since the start of the national exams a week ago. It is a tough assignment for her parents.
Amekuwa na changamoto ya mwili hapa na pale, tunampeleka anatoka, lakini sasa ameenda wakati amefika kidato cha form 3 aingie form 4 ndio alipatwa na shida na tukampeleka hospitali. Na sasa tukafikia tu ile shida ya kawaida naenda anatoka, lakini tukakuta shida imeshidi.
Unable to walk, Terry relies on a hired taxi service to transport her to and from school. Terry's triumph over such limitations that date back to her birth is the source of her father's hope.
Anapofika asubuhi kabla waanze mtihani, unapata wanafunzi wengine wanamchukua wanadurusu kabla kuanza mtihani. Sasa hiyo inamkumbusha vile vitu ambavyo labda alikuwa amesahau, na inamweka kwa nafasi kubwa angalau kufanya vyema, na hata baada ya karatasi ukimuuliza limekuwa vipi na kuambia limekuwa bora.
Elsewhere in Mombasa County, Cabinet Secretary for Education Julius Ogamba has confirmed that investigation to identify the source of a toxic gas leak at Makande Girls Secondary School that resulted in 8 candidates fainting on Thursday morning has begun.
The source of the smell has not been established. The multi-agency team that was called here has gone on to do investigations, including within the surrounding industries that are around here, to confirm how they discharge their effluent and how they handle those noxious gases that they emanate. So that agency team, once they confirm whether the particular pungent smell emanated from any of those industries, they would be able to deal with them, including closing them.
Mombasa Governor Abdul Swamad Nasir had already ordered the immediate shutdown of a nearby paint processing factory, citing it as the main suspect in the gas leak.
Tumepata ya kuwa kuna factory moja ambayo is the main suspect, ni factory ya kutengeza rangi. Tumepeana instructions, public health, immediately with immediate effect hiyo factory ya rangi inafungwa mpaka utafiti uweze kumalizika.
Of the 92 candidates registered to sit for the KCSE exams at the school, 84 were relocated to the nearby Makupa Boys Secondary School to continue with their Kiswahili exams. In Kiambu County, Kidunguri Sub-County Director of Education Nancy Gihara noted a smooth running of the examination, even as a 17-year-old candidate gave birth moments before sitting for a chemistry paper on Wednesday.
We have had a smooth running for the last 3 days. Today is the 4th day, and It is only yesterday we had one of our candidates who was expectant. She was admitted in one of our hospitals in Githunguri, and she delivered a baby girl. And she sat for her exam in hospital, but fortunately she was discharged in the evening, and she will sit for her exam in her center.
KCSE continues on Friday with chemistry practicals examinations. Jacqueline Masharia for Prime Edition.
Well, how do you ensure that you do not lose your assets as collateral when you borrow? When we come back, we will be having a story for you and an interview on how to borrow wisely. That and much more coming back shortly.
We asked the children, how many of you brushed this morning? And this little boy, his hand didn't go up. And I said, well, why didn't you brush this morning? He said, my brother was using the toothbrush. If I'd waited for him, I would have been late for school. I'm sorry, I get a bit emotional when it comes to that. To be able to change a child's life, to be able to bring back that confidence about their smile, for me, is phenomenal.
Tangu nishinde gari imenisaidia sana. Nimekuwa nikitumia kubebeba watu. Angalau naona life inabadilika. Sikosi angalau kwa siku.
Nilikuwa donda, nilikuwa tu msave hivi. Sasa hivi mimi nina gari, naweza drive na naweza beba watu, naweza make my own money.
Mungu amekutoa kwa matatu.
Dial *570# option 4. Hapo kuna Pro Box. Na ina feel poa sana kuendesha gari ambayo unajua imechangia pakubwa kusaidia society. Unaweza anisha nayo busy yako ya transportation, ida kubebea watu wa soko vitu, na niko sure by the end of the day uta make ends meet. Dial *570# option 4 na Pro Box ya kushindaniwa.
Where am I?
I'm going to report this to the police right away.
He will panic and do something stupid. I will destroy him and everybody else who helped him do this. For the first time, I feel very, very powerless.
At least now he feels what it is like to almost lose a loved one.
Ajikwe, nataka unitrakie namba 2 urgently. Najua ziko in the same location.
My father will never let it go. He will find you.
Wewe venye mzee wako nataka tukacheze. Tukacheza.
As you can see, mtoto ako na ile skin disease, imekula uso yote, kichwa imemaliza nywele, imekuja mpaka kwa mikono. Na naambiwa mtoto apati help.
Namba 1, mtoto anapitia uchungu ya mwili. Kwa sababu saa zile kuna jua, mtoto unaona anaanza kubleed. Pia namba 2, mtoto psychological. Kuna watoto pia kidogo hivi wanamhepa hivi kwa sababu wanamuogopa pia.
Mgonjwa wa kichwa, hata nywele imetoka.
Hata sisi tumeshindwa ugonjwa gani? Kwa sababu hatujawahi kuona ugonjwa kama huu.
Is a rare condition, na tupo hapa kusaidia huyo mtoto.
All right, listen up. Collocates is on a mission. It makes our gums happy and our teeth strong. See? We're moving forward and making changes.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate science for healthy gums and strong teeth. And we'll leave no smile behind.
Welcome back. Now, the Social Health Authority has been directed to establish desks in all 290 constituencies to ease the challenges faced by Kenyans in the registration process. This emerged when the Ministry of Health and Social Health Authority officials appeared before the National Assembly Health Committee to address concerns raised on the new scheme. A section of members of parliament is yet to enroll owing to the registration hurdles.
More than a month since the Social Health Authority was rolled out and at least 13 million Kenyans registered, a section of members of parliament has admitted facing challenges with the system.
Even now, if I try to do it, my ID number cannot go through. And that means there are many other Kenyans who have the same problems.
So the whole issue of delays in terms of updates by the OTP, so really it is frustrating. When they try to log in, it says system failed. Why do system fail? You have submitted to us, the system is completed. Maybe you can define for us the word complete.
MPs tasked the Minister of Health to address concerns of patients who have been fully registered but cannot access services.
One of the problems we are finding ourselves having to deal with, even as we have processed more than 2 billion worth of claims, is where Kenyans are arriving at hospitals having never attempted to register, and we are having to take them through a registration. And if things fail here, they will fail up to level 6.
While engaging with the Minister of Health and Social Health Authority officials over migration to the new health scheme, the National Assembly Health Committee made a number of recommendations.
Now that you have community health workers, they can work with our constituencies, Chair. Let us have a desk at the 290 constituencies and give ourselves 2 weeks to come out of this quagmire.
You'll have to work with our clerk in Parliament so that you can come and demonstrate to the members and even register members who have not registered into SHA so that they can be able to follow the process, and it will become even much easier for them when they explain to the people in the...
Is it in order, Honourable Chair, for the PS to actually distance herself from the figure that she has submitted to this committee, Honourable Chair, because she cannot say that the 121 is a result of discrepancies?
It is, as the CS presented it, as an achievement. Now, you are telling us these are some numbers, we are weeding it.
That it would be important to go back and interrogate the system again, because this statement is actually misleading. All of us on the issue of the active...
So you what we normally say is that I want to withdraw that.
A back and forth ensued, prompting the committee chair Robert Bukose to demand a detailed report on the same in 2 weeks. As of 5th of November, a total of 13,896,650 people had registered with the Social Health Authority. Kamche Menza for Prime Edition.
The Mediation Committee on the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024 has resolved to examine several key factors, including the reasoning behind the reduction of the funds allocated to counties from 400.12 billion shillings to 380 billion shillings and the basis for the projected shortfall of 346 billion shillings in revenue during a sitting to address the funding dispute between the two houses. Parliament, the committee chaired by Kiharu legislator Ndindi Nyoro and Mandera Senator Ali Roba also agreed to review the criteria used to determine the projections before deliberating on how much funding will be allocated to counties. The committee will reconvene on Tuesday next week to come up with a final resolution.
Senate and National Assembly, then you'll be able to say that then us as a Senate, we can seed 5 billion. Instead of 20, we can seed 5 billion, or we can seed 10 billion plus or minus.
Let's come back and frame the issues. And the issues are very simple. I agree 300% with what Honorable David Ochen has framed. Now we can then objectively discuss one item at a time, and we can have back and forth to a point of agreement.
I don't think the mandate of this mediation is to finish the meeting quickly. Neither is it to present the report. From where I sit, the mandate of this mediation is to successfully unlock the monies.
The government will construct 16,000 more classes to facilitate a smooth transition of grade 8 pupils to grade 9. Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of Management and Delivery in the Executive Office of the President, Eliud Alwado, said that in addition 20,000 teachers will be employed to enhance the teacher-student ratio.
Speaking at the handover of the improved infrastructure at Kamedo Primary School in Siaya County, the Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of management and delivery in the Office of the President said the government will ensure smooth transition of grade 8 pupils to grade 9.
The government has put in place mechanisms, financial facilitation to ensure that as at January 2025, we are going to have an additional 16,000 classrooms spread evenly all over the country.
The Teachers Service Commission will also employ 20,000 teachers to alleviate teacher shortage.
The government has again decided to absorb the 46,000 teachers who have been teaching as interns. Now they are being absorbed fully through the Teachers Service Commission. Over and above that, we are also going to have an additional 20,000 teachers.
Kamedo Primary School is a beneficiary of 5 million shillings infrastructural improvement project by M-Pesa Foundation in collaboration with the Ludo Walo Foundation.
The challenge that now remains is for us as a local community to ensure that we have got adequate number of students in the school.
The remaining task is yours. That these facilities will have meaning only if performance improves. And our objectives as funders of this project to make sure that our children are well prepared to be digital natives of the future.
The M-Pesa Foundation is also improving Oboch Primary School in Siaya County. Achola Simon, Prime Edition, Siaya County.
Now to scales of justice, where a 3-judge bench of the High Court has agreed to pose former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's case challenging his impeachment until 23rd January 2025 to give room for the main appeal to proceed at the Court of Appeal. The main appeal challenges the judge's refusal to recuse themselves from the case and the bench's impeachment by the Deputy Chief Justice. Elsewhere, Justice Lawrence Mugambi has dismissed petitions challenging the lifting of the ban on genetically modified, that's the GMO foods in Kenya.
The Justice Ogola-led bench has concurred with the impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's lawyers to pause the proceedings at the High Court until the Appellate Court pronounces itself.
But the main appeal, the Court of Appeal has guaranteed will be heard before the end of this term. That appeal is jurisdictional because it challenges the process by which this bench came into life.
This is as Gachagua's lawyers also sought time to amend their petitions, saying the lifting of the orders by the bench rendered some of their prayers useless.
It will not be wise for this court to continue with any proceedings here if, in any case, the Court of Appeal decides the appeal in favor of the appellant. So in service of the overriding objective, we believe that judicial resources be used prudently.
The state agreed to wait until the outcome of the appellate court set before the Christmas holidays break.
Cases belong to parties. Those who have opted to amend their petitions, we have absolutely no objection. They can amend their petitions.
Elsewhere, the High Court has dismissed petitions challenging the lifting of the ban on GMO foods in Kenya. Justice Lawrence Mugambi ruled that the Environment and Land Court had addressed the matter in October 2023 and determined that the government had implemented adequate safety measures to address the concerns raised by the petitioners. And the 31 suspects charged on Wednesday with the fraudulent gold sale scheme have been released on a bond of 100 shillings each for conspiring to defraud in the sale of 31 kgs of fake gold and 3 million shillings for possessing 2,500 in fake US dollars.
Each accused is granted a bond of 100,000 with one surety of similar amount or a cash bail of 50,000 each. Count 2 for the 3 accused persons. Each accused gets a bond of 3 million plus 2 sureties of similar amount or a cash bail of 1.5 million. and 2 contact persons. Count 3, each accused person secures a bond of 100,000 plus 1 surety or similar amount or a cash bail of 50,000 each.
The pre-trial is set for 27th November. Ruth Wamboy for Prime Edition.
Over 4,500 street families in Nairobi, Kisumu and Uasin Gishu counties are set to benefit from a social economic program courtesy of Undugu Society of Kenya in collaboration with City Foundation. The $500,000 project will focus on rescuing, rehabilitating and also bringing back street-connected children and youth from these areas through village savings and loan associations. Speaking during the launch of the program, Undugu Society of Kenya Executive Director Eric Mukoya said the foundation's goal is to reduce homelessness from street families in the country.
Planning to target about 3,000 young people in Nairobi, Kisumu and Eldoret. We are targeting 600 children through what we call Community Child Right Clubs, CCRCs. This is a model to prevent children from going to the streets. We are targeting over 1,000 households through what we call the Village Savings and Loaning Associations, VSLAs.
Fundisho training za leadership, self-awareness, kudeal na drugs. Through hizo savings unapata, kwa savings zetu ile kidogo unapata, tunakatanga hiyo kikundi ya pesa mwisho wa mwezi. Lakini kwa hiyo harakati hiyo pesa tuna save, kuna pesa tunaitangaza vulnerable children.
Welcome back. It's now time for business. President William Ruto is calling on the African Union to develop innovative and sustainable financing solutions to address the continent's growing needs. Speaking in support of AU reforms, Ruto emphasized the importance of boosting the African Export-Import Bank and the Trade and Development Bank, which plays a crucial role in funding development and infrastructure projects across Africa.
Africa's annual financing gap is expected to soar to $402.2 billion by 2030, with transport and infrastructure accounting for the largest share of the gap, followed by education, energy, and productivity-enhancing technologies. This, according to the latest African Economic Outlook 2024, reflects decades of underinvestment in critical areas for development. This is in addition to the current global financial architecture that faces significant challenges in addressing the financial needs for sustainable development. As calls to reform the global financial architecture grow louder, President William Ruto is calling for more innovative and sustainable financing solutions to address the continent's growing needs.
On matters financing, I think we can be innovative in how we finance our organization.
President Ruto has also emphasized the importance of recognizing and supporting Africa's major financial institutions.
We recognize the World Bank, we recognize the IMF, we recognize all the others, but our own African institutions, we don't. We have also made a decision as heads of state that we are going to buy more shares. Like, for example, Kenya, we're buying more shares in Afriexim, we're buying more shares in TDB, we're buying more shares because we need to support this institution because they support our economies.
Weri Mujenga for Prime Edition.
Safaricom has reported the first decline in profit in 4 years as depreciation of the birr and also the hyperinflation in Ethiopia ate into earnings from the Kenyan unit. Safaricom has reported a 17.7% reduction in first half net profit to 28.1 billion shillings and revised up by year to 2027 when it expects its Ethiopian subsidiary to break even.
Safaricom last reported a decline in net November 2020.
The telco attributed the 6% decline then to the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. 4 years later, the telco is reporting a 17.7% reduction in first half net profit. This time round, Safaricom attributes it to hyperinflation and heavy currency depreciation in Ethiopia that it says has eaten into earnings from the Kenyan unit.
Due to the uncertainty of what rate we will have at the end of the year, we are guiding that any 10 percentage points change in terms of currency depreciation would result to about 8 billion shillings equivalent in terms of balance sheet impact and therefore the P&L impact.
The telco says the impact of the economic situation is likely to persist longer than it had anticipated and is projecting that the Ethiopian subsidiary is unlikely to break even earlier than the year 2027.
Ethiopia on EBITDA break-even, we've moved it forward. We've adjusted it 1 year to year 5. We used to say that we'll have break-even in year 4. So we moved it to financial year 27 from our earlier estimate of financial year 26 due to the effect of the foreign exchange reforms that you've spoken about.
To mitigate against the short-term impact of the ongoing foreign exchange reforms in Ethiopia, Safaricom says it is working on renegotiating foreign currency-dominated currents, onboarding local suppliers for certain products and services.
As part of our transition to TechCo, we will accelerate digital transformation across our processes, and we are not leaving our employees behind. This year, we've had what we are calling 2+1, which is starting to build skills across all our employee base on skills of the future, tech skills of the future.
Overall, the telco's service revenue increased by 13.1% to 179.9 billion shillings, mainly powered by the Kenyan unit. Of this, voice, data and SMS contributed at least 52.2% of the revenue, while M-Pesa contributed 42.9%.
The chargeable transactions per 1 month customer, a very, very, very important part of the driver of M-Pesa health. Chargeable transactions per customer per 1 month went up from 37.4 to 22. It went up to 37.4 from 29.8 transactions last year, which is a growth of 25.6%. And lastly, thank you. And lastly, M-Pesa monetization, which is reflected to that M-Pesa take rate, remain more or less stable over the period, whether you look at for the overall transactions or for the chargeable transactions.
Due to the reduction in profit, Safaricom has not declared any interim dividend to shareholders. Nduta Mokami for Prime Edition.
Kenyan exporters have been challenged to take up opportunities offered by the Africa Continental Free Trade Area after in a bid to ensure that manufacturing, agro-processing and other activities across Africa are stimulated to supply the market. Cooperatives Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Opanya, who was speaking during the flag-off of goods for export, says government is committed to streamlining regulatory compliance to unlock potential in the trade area.
The African Continental Free Trade Area, which is the world's largest free trade area, started trading in 2021, creating a market of 1.2 billion people and the 8th economic bloc in the world with a $3 trillion combined GDP that is expected to more than double by 2050. Kenyan exporters will now be able to access markets in DRC, South Sudan and Zambia, following launch of the operational phase targeting the three nations.
This really initiative signifies a new beginning in terms of our trade relations with the rest of African continent, and it could not have come at a better time than now when, as a country and the African continent, we are taking collective efforts to make the African continent free trade area not just a trade agreement, but a tool for the economic transformation of our economy.
In the first phase, 83 containers will be exported through AFCTA monthly.
This implies that an average of 83 containers will be shipped every month.
We look forward to working with other commercial banks to reduce the cost of trade finance, to make trade finance more accessible, more affordable.
Kenya targets to export products valued at $1.3 million annually to the three nations to accelerate economic integration.
The rollout of the operational phase of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area unlocks opportunities for Kenyan exporters to access the regional markets as the government promises to address regulatory compliances to spark growth in the sector. Reporting for Prime Edition, my name is Frederick Mwoki.
Ungependa kuwa mshindi na Lucky Box? Ni rahisi sana.
Bonyeza *463# uwe mshindi.
Kuna vitu vingi sana vya kushinda.
Kama vile TV, kuka, washing machine, fridge, kipiki, pesa na hata gari. Na sio gari tu, Subaru.
Na kuna jackpots kadha wa kadha. Kuna power jackpot ya 1.9 million.
Mega jackpot 2.5 million.
Na Super Sunday ya 3 million Kenya shillings. Kila mtu anaweza kuwa mshindi. Bonyeza *463#. Uwe mshindi.
Kuchagua box ni kuchagua chapa.
Kumbuka, kila unapocheza Lucky Box unasaidia watoto kusoma.
Hello, fabulous ladies. Welcome to the talk show that's all about sisterhood, empowerment, and unfiltered conversation. We will be focusing on women. We believe in women.
We are really changing.
We are creating a safe space for women to connect, thrive, and share.
Just because you're a woman on a bike, you're labeled in a certain way.
It's not just a talk show, it's a movement.
When they are standing, we need to stand out.
From heartwarming tales to hilarious adventures.
They could ask me, Catherine, why are you learning?
We are turning the spotlight on women who are breaking barriers in their individual fields.
You have to have a vision. You are the leaders of Kenya today.
Keeping it honest and relatable.
Mental health is real.
Yes.
Where there is no communication, there is no relationship.
Join the sisterhood every Sunday at 4 p.m. on KBC TV for Dada's Show.
Je, ungependa kuwa mshindi na Lucky Box? Ni rahisi sana.
Bonyeza *463# uwe mshindi.
Samahani, nasikia mtaja tu Zito. Kwani nani wako?
Zito mimi ni mpenzi wangu.
Kwanza una uhakika ni Zito, sio wewe ambaye unamwongea?
Hivi waitwa nani?
Bibi yake anaitwa Shamsa.
Sina hela, sina kazi, sina chochote.
Kila mtu anaweza kuwa mshindi. Bonyeza *463#. Uwe mshindi.
Kuchagua box ni kuchagua chapa.
Kumbuka, kila unapocheza Lucky Box unasaidia watoto kusoma.
Change is here.
And this shift is about many things. The country's shifting.
This is Kenya's vision, the journey to development.
KBC is going to be the home to realize, to discuss, to share ideas about this shift and to know where our country is going.
We dissect the rumors. We clarify the perceptions. A clear picture of the status quo. Change is indeed here.
Everything is shifting.
The shift.
Welcome back. Now, if you're just joining us, you're just in time for a story that I've been looking forward to share, where some developers are increasingly exploring innovative 3D printing technology in construction as the country races to address its housing deficit. The technology involves the use of computerized way of producing house building material using an industrial scale printer. Tonight on Tech One, we take you through this unique technology of house building.
The government plans to build 250,000 houses each year, aimed at eventually closing a housing deficit that the World Bank puts at 2 million units. This plan was launched in 2022. To hit this target, developers say a new way of construction needs to take root.
We know that if we want to clear that backlog, we need to build differently. We need to build at scale, with speed and with low carbon materials. And this is what construction 3D printing makes possible, so that we clear that backlog soon.
14 Trees CEO Francois Perrot says the technology can help address the housing need. The first step of printing a 3D house is creating a blueprint using computer-aided design or CAD software. The second step includes installing the 3D printer on site with additional equipment. The printer then uses the converted drawing and prints the walls in layers, following the predetermined design of the house. Depending on the design and architecture, the printer's position or nozzle might be changed during the process. The nozzle defines the finish of the walls, which can be smooth or layered. After the house walls are printed, the concrete is moisturized for another 24 hours through water spraying on the walls, or the construction is covered in plastic to keep the moisture from evaporating. 14 Trees used the technology to build a showcase house in Nairobi and 10 houses in the coastal Kilifi County. Perrot says that acquiring a printer locally and making mortar locally could also help bring down the cost of housing.
People don't really worry or care about the technology. What they care about is the design, the price, the way it is set up, the layout of the building. And the positive feedback we had was on the aesthetic and the pricing and the location of the project we delivered.
For many, such new technology has great potential but remains limited.
Yeah, in spite of the great potential of 3D printing technology, it will still take a long time for it to be able to compete with the brick and mortar. Brick and mortar, everybody can build their house anywhere they are. They're able to access the materials, they're able to access the tradesmen who are able to build their house, and they can plan the cost, they can plan how much money they have, they can build in phases.
This notwithstanding, 3D printing technology may very well be one of the novel answers to the country's housing deficit. Alan Aoko, Tech One.
There's a need for inclusive policy reforms to reduce financing barriers for smallholder farmers and rural-based entrepreneurs. Speakers at the Agribusiness Accelerator Growth Summit in Nairobi say simplifying access to loans and tailored financing products will allow smallholder farmers to invest in essential technologies to help mitigate post-harvest losses and boost yields.
Africa is home to 65% of the world's arable land. However, major barriers such as lack of essential infrastructure and limited access to financing have prevented optimal land utilization, leading to persistent food insecurity and post-harvest losses to farmers. Stakeholders say traditional financial institutions have been reluctant to lend to smallholder farmers, citing risks associated with agriculture, and now want development of financing products specifically designed for smallholder farmers to allow them access capital.
It's a question about getting the right investments. It's a question about having accelerators, and these are enterprise support organizations. Really figure out what they need to do and learn from each other to support the agribusinesses more and more. Not just to launch the business, but to be sustainable in the long run.
We need to have a more coordinated approach in the work of the ecosystem players, accelerators, entrepreneurial support organizations, so that we do not work across across each other.
Sometimes we have these things in our mind, but you're not able to express it. So E4 Impact would help the entrepreneur be able to actually bring out and be able to present that solution to a potential funder, so the funder can understand exactly how will you make money.
Speakers at the Agribusiness Accelerators Growth Summit are also calling on the government to streamline the tax regime and ease licensing of businesses. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
The Institution of Surveyors of Kenya wants the government to implement the Survey Amendments 2024 regulations to streamline the industry, which is facing many challenges. ISK President Eric Nyadimo says discrepancies between the physical sizes of land versus the official figures contained in the title deeds is among the challenges facing the land acquisition process, resulting in delays, disputes, and higher land acquisition costs.
These documents are still with the Ministry of Lands. They have not been advanced beyond the Ministry of Lands, and there is need for us to be able to get these documents, especially the bills, to be enacted and the survey policy to be in place, because through these documents we were able to look at the entire spectrum of survey and mapping and analyzed all the issues related to survey and mapping, and came up with a bill that provides for a proper relationship between the national government and the county government, and also in terms of increasing the professionalism for the surveyors, talking about the requirement for registration and the requirements for licensing.
We're working well with the Ministry of Land and the National Land Commission to ensure that disputes are minimal. We're even setting up laws to ensure that we settle the squatters and the investors who have invested to buy in land, so that they don't get losses.
We are working closely with various stakeholders, including professionals in your sector, to ensure that all developments, whether in urban centers or rural regions, are climate resilient and environmentally sound.
Nestled on the shores of Lake Victoria, Kisumu is not only a vibrant city known for the rich culture and history, but also a culinary heaven celebrated for its exquisite fish delicacies. The lake, the largest tropical freshwater lake in the world, provides a bounty of fish that form the backbone of Kisumu's gastronomic identity, as highlighted tonight on Magical Scenes.
The people of Kisumu have relied on the lake for sustenance, with fish being a primary source of nutrition and livelihood. The local fishing community, comprising skilled fishermen who rise with the sun, casts their nets into the sparkling waters, bringing in fresh catches of tilapia, Nile perch, and catfish. These fish are more than just a meal. They are a symbol of the region's heritage, culture, and connection to the land. The journey from the lake to the dining table is a vibrant experience in Kisumu.
It is delicious. It is very delicious. And you need to try it, actually.
Fish is normally what everybody who comes here wants to eat. So basically what we have done is that we have specialized in freelance fish. We don't do caged fish. And we do it so well from the kitchen. Our chef specializes in that. In addition to that, we have got even the traditional type of fish that newcomers in Kisumu really like the kamongo, like the bambla, and they are all on the a la carte menu. Tilapia, they say is the sweetest. And I think they say that because we don't get the gauged one, we get the freelance, and we get a very good size. We call it size 6. It's not too big, it's not small. So that is just sweet.
The aroma of grilled fish wafts through the air as locals and visitors alike gather to purchase their favorites.
We do not have any food that is kept in the fridges for long. We look at our orders and our guests as they come in. So now we are able to actually give out fresh food.
Here, fish is prepared in a variety of ways: grilled, fried, or stewed, with each method highlighting the unique flavors of the lake. One of the most popular dishes is the grilled tilapia, typically marinated with a blend of local spices and herbs, then cooked to perfection over an open flame. Often served alongside ugali and kachumbari, a refreshing salad made of tomatoes and onions, this meal is a staple in Kisumu households and a must-try for visitors. Fish is deeply woven into the social fabric of Kisumu, playing a central role in communal gatherings, family celebrations, and traditional ceremonies. Sharing a meal of fish brings people together, fostering connections and strengthening bonds.
Tuna samaki tofauti. Kuna wale wanaleta asubuhi, wenye wanaleta pamoja na omena, mafulu na hizo ngege type ya samaki. Wale wanaenda jioni kwa baharini. Na kuna wale wanaenda asubuhi, wanaanza kugoa hapa saa 5, pia wanatuletea samaki.
Nevertheless, the act of dining on fish is seen as a ritual that honors the lake and the community that thrives around it.
Kisumu is not just a destination, it is an experience that lingers in the heart and soul. A place that would come any time of the year, enjoy the delicacies as well as the enriching landscapes owing to the favorable weather patterns. Nchuma Udin, magical scenes in the county of Kisumu.
Rahisisha uwezo wako wa ushindi kwa kukuwa memba wa Loto Moto, na ni rahisi. Dial *570#. Ukiwa memba ni rahisi kufika kwenye jukwaa hili ili kujaribu mchezo wetu wa Loto Moto Show. Na pia kama memba unajipa nafasi rahisi ya kuingia kwenye promotion zetu zinazokupa nafasi ya kujishindia chapaa na zawadi kibao kama TV, friji, pikipiki, mashamba na pia magari. Kuwa memba ni *570#. Tushinde kama members.
Hapo kwa crime scene walitaja jina yako.
Ati? Unafaa kuwa jela wewe.
Mama ananiambia jina lakini
mimi hisi yangu indanganye.
Ambaye hisi yako Mama Jane ifanye uchunguzi vizuri kabisa.
Omba msamaha usamehewe.
Hebu unataka kumkeza ujinga?
Sasa hizo ndo zote zimekusaidia na nini Jackie?
Amjei pata uchi for orchestrator hii plan mzima.
Huyu ni mtu anatujua. Na najua ile siku tunambeba pesa.
Yaani huyu kijana amenizoea.
Ni ile najaribu kuangalia kila kitu na angle zote.
Keep change.
Alex. Kelele ni ya nini? Ona, mbona nataka nikwambie. Hivyo ndio uliamua utakacheza.
A very good evening and welcome to Prime Edition Sports. I'm Bernard Okumu. Let's begin with soccer now, where President William Ruto has on Thursday toured and inspected the ongoing construction of the Talanta Sports City Stadium. Speaking after touring the ongoing construction, President Ruto noted that the work is progressing well and hopes it to be completed in time as Kenya looks forward to co-hosting the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations alongside Uganda and Tanzania after the successful bidding of the East Africa Pamoja bid. The 60,000 capacity Sita Stadium is designed to exclusively meet international football standards. Elsewhere, the national women's amputee football team is through to the quarterfinals of the ongoing World Amputee Football Federation World Cup in Cali, Colombia after a 1-0 win over England. En route to the last 8, Kenya played to a barren draw with Haiti before they beat Peru 2-0 in the second match. The Kenyan team went ahead to beat England 1-0 to book a date with Ukraine on Friday. The Kenyan team will be looking forward to secure a winner to enable them progress to the semi-finals, where they will take on either Peru or hosts Colombia. And to rugby now, where the Kenya Sevens rugby team Shujaa has been drawn in Pool A with France, South Africa and Australia in the HSBC Dubai Sevens, which kicks off at the end of this month at the Sevens Stadium in Dubai. Shujaa will be seeking triumphant return to the World Sevens Series after their promotion this year.
It will be a battle for survival for all the 24 teams in the series, who include men and women's teams in the 2025 HSBC World Series, starting with the Dubai Sevens on the 30th of this month to the 1st of December this year. And the pools are fair game to all who will be put to the test, starting with Pool A, where Kenya will match with the defending champions as well as the Olympic champions France, their continental rivals South Africa and Australia, who beat them in the 2024 Olympic Games. The 2024 World Silver medalists Argentina are drawn in Pool B with Ireland, Great Britain and Uruguay, while bronze medalists Fiji, New Zealand, USA and Spain are in Pool C. The HSBC World 7 Series will mark a big milestone for women's rugby, as it will embrace gender parity with all rounds featuring combined men and women's events to ensure women players have equal opportunities to showcase their talent to the world, as they also receive equal participation fee. Shujaa earned their promotion back to the HSBC Series after the 2024 promotion and relegation play-off in Madrid, where they beat Germany 33-15 to the delight of the nation. Meanwhile, the Kenya Rugby Legends match against the UK Tritons, which was scheduled for tomorrow, will now be held this Saturday at the RFUEA grounds and will act as a curtain raiser for the 2024 Elgon Cup between Kenya Simbas and Uganda Cranes, who are already in the country for the prestigious two-legged affair. The Kenyan Legends are preparing for the Dubai Sevens tour, where they'll take play in the vets category.
Kenya galloping in.
And to athletics now, where over 200 athletes are expected to take part in the 9th edition of the Chemususu Half Marathon, set for the 16th of this month in Baringo County.
And thank you very much. Speaking during the launch, Sports Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen reiterated the government's commitment to improve county sports facilities to support talent development.
To further support talent development, we have embarked on a comprehensive sports infrastructure inspection and rehabilitation plan, bringing improved facilities closer to communities. These investments ensure that athletes have safe, accessible, and professional grade spaces to train and compete, creating a strong foundation for Kenya's future champions.
His sentiments were echoed by the race director and former 3,000 meter steeplechase Olympic champion Matthew Birir, who said that they are targeting to plant 30,000 trees, an increment from last year's 20,000, in support of conservation efforts at the Chemususu Dam.
Nataka kuambia wanariadha, please, mkuje mkimbie Chemususu Marathon because it's a free entry. Na mbio na njia ni mzuri, altitude ni mzuri, na ukikimbia hapo na uende kukimbia ngambo, huko unaenda kushinda tu.
The winner of the 21-kilometer race will pocket 250,000, while the runners-up will pocket 150,000 and 100,000 shillings respectively.
Further afield now, where Arsenal's unbeaten run in the UEFA Champions League came to an end when they lost 1-0.
Have scored right on half-time from the penalty spot.
And on that note, results from last night's UEFA Champions League matches is where I put a cap on today's sports. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Bernardo Kumu. Have a restful evening.
Je, ungependa kuwa mshindi na Lucky Box? Ni rahisi sana.
Bonyeza
star 463 hash uwe mshindi.
Kuna vitu vingi sana vya kushinda
kama vile TV, kuka, washing machine, fridge, kipiki, pesa na hata gari. Na sio gari tu, Subaru.
Na kuna jackpots kadha wa kadha. Kuna power jackpot ya 1.9 million,
mega jackpot 2.5 million
na super Sunday ya 3 million Kenya shillings. Kila mtu anaweza kuwa mshindi. Bonyeza star 463 hash uwe mshindi.
Kuchagua box ni kuchagua chapa.
Kumbuka, kila unapocheza Lucky Box unasaidia watoto kusoma.
Welcome back. Well, when putting up your assets, such as a car or land, as collateral when taking a loan, how do you ensure that you do not lose your asset? Betty Kiptum spoke to Gilbert Tochi, the contact center manager at Ngao Credit, on how to responsibly borrow using your assets as collateral. And that will be the last story that we have for you this night. For me and the rest of the team, we do want to wish you a very good night.
A very good evening to you. Thank you for watching Prime Edition. My name is Betty Kiptum. We'd like to get into an interactive session and discuss how to responsibly put your collateral on a loan. Have you a car or a piece of land and you'd want to take a loan on that particular asset? How do you do it responsibly? How do you make sure that you do not lose that particular asset? And to have this conversation is Gilbert Tochi, who is the contact center manager at Ngao Credit. Thank you very much for speaking with us. And maybe we could start with you telling us exactly what Ngao Credit does.
Ngao Credit is an organization. It's a company that was started in 2009. We've been 15 years in the industry. And that one is an advantage I'll explain later. But we deal in mainly logbook finance and other financial solutions. And we have 9 branches across the country, but also in case you are in far-flung areas like Wajir, you can access our financial solutions even from there. Yes.
So Gilbert, tell us, what should someone consider before they put up collateral on a loan?
Okay, we do have various forms of collateral. You've mentioned title deed. That means that someone has land. We do have vehicles, in that case logbook. We do have payslip. That means salary. Other forms are like, we do have other forms like livestock and household items. But in this case, let me focus mainly on the collateral that we dwell on mainly, which is logbook. And for the logbook loans, the first thing that you need to consider is, what do you have? What type of car do you have? Some of our competitors have completely declined giving loans against old cars, 2005, 2004 Toyota. You have that 2005, you can bring it on board, fortunately, and you will be able to get a loan against it. As well, you need to consider the term. How long are you going to repay this loan? Is it 24 months? In our case, we do have even 1 month up to 24 months. And one of the things, even 36 months when you are acquiring a vehicle. And one of the things I do advise my customers is you need to check, because we do have offers that limit the number of months you can take a loan. If I told, for example, 24 months is enough, but there are those that have 12 months, for which case you are going to pay a very huge installment per month. So that is one of the other things that we need to check. And we also need to check the terms and conditions, because not everything is the same. For example, I can tell you that 2% is what you'll get in interest rate. But when you look closer, it's not 2%. It will more like 9%. That is the feature we have across the board with our competitors. But when you compare Ngao Credit, we have a transparency policy where we keep everything above the table.
As someone takes up these loans, of course, we cannot really predict the future. How do you ensure that you're protecting the customer when tough times come, when they are not in a position to repay their loan in the time that had been agreed upon?
One of the things that I believe is that things do not go wrong, they start wrong. When onboarding a customer as Ngao Credit, we do come up with ways during the time that we are interacting with our customers, before onboarding, we analyze your financial statements and we give you a recommendation of what to take, okay? But I believe that you don't have to take our recommendations. Sometimes we can recommend that you be giving 100,000 per month for a given loan. But my belief is that when you go and sit down, you know where the shoe is pinching you, okay? And you need to analyze your income and your expenditure, household level as well as in business, so that instead of taking the 100,000 per month repayment that I'm giving you, you can even take 50,000, so that it's far below what I'm recommending. That way, you can manage. Even during tough times, you can manage. But even then, even with the repayments that maybe you cannot reach, during that time, we do give our customers sufficient time to repay their loans. And one of the things that is said out there is that if at all you cannot repay our loan, then you cannot repay anywhere. Because one of the things that we do, apart from just advising you on the installment, we give you a clear repayment plan. This is the plan. There's a difference between installment, and me giving you an installment, and me giving you a repayment plan. I'm glad that most of my customers, they stick with the repayment plans that we have agreed on. And this has resulted in a very low conflict. Our conflict is very low, and we have been able to add value to our customers. Then, during the repayment period, you might be paying, say, 50,000 per month or 100,000 per month, and you've spotted an opportunity as a business person. You've spotted an opportunity, and you do not lack. You do lack sources of income or sources of money, sources of capital. And you imagine maybe taking most of our customers out there whenever they have a loan somewhere and they need some top up or some money to satisfy their need, maybe an opportunity, they normally end up in Shylocks. This is a very sad situation. We at Ngao, we have prevented that by coming up with a product so that even when you are paying 100,000, you can take up another loan. This one is a short-term one, where you are given a 2-month breather, so that now on the 3rd month, when you are up on your feet, you can pay. For example, let me just take an example: 100,000. What if I give you 100,000 today, and for 2 months I tell you just pay 10,000? On the 3rd month, you can pay the 100,000. If at all you look at that, it's one of the way that we have been able to get and satisfy our customers' needs as Ngao Credit.
A lot of Kenyans are stuck in a vicious cycle of debt. They are borrowing here to pay here and borrowing there to pay there. How do you advise someone who is maybe stuck in this cycle and they want to get out of this debt situation they are in?
Okay, that one needs a thorough examining. And I would like anyone who is stuck in a debt cycle, it's not a very pleasant thing to be in. And I would like one to sit down and analyze his spending. Where does he need to cut? but also think of ways to increase their income. So one, at Ngao Credit, we have an opportunity. If at all, maybe you are stuck, maybe with your financial institution, and there's nowhere to move back and forth, you can come on board. We will buy off that loan that you are servicing. Maybe you have 2 or 3 loans that you are servicing. You take one and consolidate your loans so that you can pay only one loan. Stick with us, because at the end of the day, we do have many products that can satisfy your needs as a business and as well as an individual. So sometimes, let me just give you an example of one of the customers that came on board the other day. He had taken a car, and for that car he was paying 90,000. And one day he was just passing by the kitchen, and he found his wife dividing a 500 milliliter of milk into 2 so that he can use one today, one part tomorrow. So he said, I had not encountered poverty in my own household until that time. Then he came over. We were able to reduce that from 90,000 to 50,000 repayment for his car. That way, he was free. Now he could attend to his household needs on a daily basis, and at the same time, attend to other projects that he has. For example, he had a house that he needed to build, but he wanted at least a breather so that he can have his house finished. So at the end of the day, we do have product at Ngao Credit. We do take care of our customers' needs.
You say that you put all the information on the table for the customer to be aware of what they're getting themselves into.
Yes.
Could you just tell us what risks exist when someone puts up collateral on a loan? Could they lose their asset, whether it's a title deed to land or their car? Could they lose it in the process?
I would want to focus now. I think I have said that mainly Ngao Credit dwells on logbook loans.
Yes.
And yes, there is repossession. One of the things that can happen when we have defaulted for a long time, and maybe you are not communicating. You know, one of the things that I advise most of my customers is communicate. Repossession is one of the hardest things that can happen to you. And this is a situation where we want to avoid, all of us want to avoid. And we have deliberate ways through which we have avoided this repossession. One of which is we do advise when onboarding the customer, is we do advise our customers to take what they need. The other thing that I would like to advise customers is during the time that you are paying, it's good to communicate with your relationship officer. We've had a situation where we have this notion that customers do have, especially those that are coming from our competitors, that if at all I fail to pay even one day, my car is going to be, they're coming for my car. But when they cross over to Ngao Credit, they realize, hey, the channels of communications are working. Your relationship officer is your best friend when it comes to Ngao Credit. Because this relationship officer will come up with a repayment plan with you, agreeable. A repayment plan during that time. And then number two, as a result of your communication, he'll advise the management, this is the way, this is why this customer has not paid up to this date. Would you mind to come up with an alternative way? That way, we have stayed with our customers for the longest time. And I'm glad you've asked that question, because that is the separator between Ngao Credit and our competitors. Yes.
From an industry perspective, what would you say should be done to improve the policy and regulatory environment of the microfinancing industry?
To be honest, the world of microfinance right now is filled with people. I think institutions, businesses have started up, very many of them have started up. It's good as a customer to do due diligence, including asking, for example, Ngao Credit started in 2009. We've been there for a long time. And as a customer, you would want to ask yourself, how long has an organization been there? So that before you can borrow, you know exactly what is this institution I'm going to borrow from. That's number one. But again, I get it that there is need for regulation. And I'm glad you've asked that question, because Ngao Credit is regulated by CBK, which means that we have signed up ourselves up to certain practices. And our books of account are accessible to the CBK. Our directorship is on the limelight. So everybody is above board. So that's one of the things that we've signed up against as Ngao Credit. Integrity is above board and transparency is above board. But again, I would want to, because this thing has brought a lot of heat. Of recent, I think you have access to a newspaper article about microfinance that had presented 2%, but then their customers are staying for a long time before clearing their loans. You literally check your balance. You take a loan today, 2 years later, say you take a million, Bob, from that microfinance. Then two years later, you check the balance, it's 1.2. What have you been paying? What have you been paying? So at the end of the day, I would like, again, for the regulator to check these interest rates that we are touting around. Because the 2%, when I tell you 2% here, it doesn't mean 2% for our competitor. So we need us to compare apples to apples. There's need for comparison between apples to apples. Because I can tell you 2%, but when you look closer, it's more than that.
Are there any programs that you're undertaking to ensure that you are imparting financial literacy in your customers and even the community? Please share some of them.
Okay, as Ngao Credit, we do have a marketing team that is very deliberate on financial literacy. We've organized campaigns, and we have done TV interviews, including this one, where we have discussed on financial solutions that we have, but also we've gotten feedback. And we have, especially for our customers that are in business, I've already advised you on our niche, mainly from business community. So we have come up with Bingo Nights, an event where we exchange ideas. And the good thing is that we have already come up with 3 products that are in the kitchen right now. We are going to come up that have captured the needs of our customers. But also on social media, we have our YouTube channel, and we have organized last month, we did a Twitter space where we got feedback from the public on logbook loans and our financial solutions. Yes.
How have you used digital technology to ensure that your customers have a good customer experience?
Okay, one of the things that we have done in our 15 years of existence as Ngao Credit is to look at what is needed out there. And the thing that we noted that is mostly wanted by our customers is a digital platform. And we developed that digital platform. Right now, as a customer, within an hour, you can access a loan from Ngao Credit.
Please share your closing remarks and what your message to the customers of Ngao Credit and people who want to put up collateral on loans would be.
I believe that anyone who has ever taken a loan is a development conscious person. The same applies to our brothers and sisters who have acquired their cars through loans. So I would want to encourage out there our customers and those ones who are stuck to come on board and take up our products and interact with our financial solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gilbert, for sharing your thoughts. That is Gilbert Tochi, who is the contact center manager at Ngao Credit, and we've been talking about how to borrow responsibly, putting up collateral on loans, your do's, your don'ts, and how to make sure that you are not losing that particular asset even as you borrow on loans. And what we've learned, you can actually expand your business through loans, even if you're cash strapped at the moment. Thank you very much for watching KBC Channel 1. My name is Betty Kiptum. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.
Tangu nishinde gari imenisaidia sana. Nimekuwa nikitumia kubebeba watu. Angalau naona life inabadilika. Sikosi angalau kwa siku.
Nilikuwa donda, nilikuwa tu msave hivi. Sasa hivi mimi nina gari, naweza drive na naweza beba watu, naweza make my own money.
Mungu amekutoa kwa matatu.
Dial *570# option 4. Hapo kuna Pro Box. Na ina feel poa sana kuendesha gari ambayo unajua imechangia pakubwa kusaidia society. Unaweza